All right, ladies and gentlemen. It turns out there is a brand new weekly reward system in Wuthering Waves. You might have gotten a slight preview of them. It's looking pretty good. You get about 1 pull a week, just something to help boost out, all that asteroid that you're getting and, hopefully guarantee you a couple more characters. To start off the mode, you're going to go ahead and just teleport right to Ragusa City, the center, and you'll get ganked. You will get ganked by, of course, the Ebony Gatekeeper. So we're just going to go ahead, get through all this dialogue, and then move on towards the actual event to start out the mode. We're gonna see one of Encore's puppets. Skip that again, and then we're gonna see that, well, in 2 button clicks, or maybe 4, depending on how you want to think about it. Fantasies of 1,000 Gateways is now ready to go. We're now ready to start it. And as you can see over here, the rewards at first don't look that incredible. Or depending on your point of view, they are incredible. 160 asteroids, and then some level up materials. Resonance for your characters, and then tubes for your echoes. Some of these might have been things that people are really asking for. So it's good to see that. Then you're just going to go ahead, teleport on over. And as you can see, that was like a 6 day and 17 hour reset. That means once a week, right? After Sunday in your time zone, you'll be ready to enter the Somme Noir once again. So new challenges will be available after the end of the current period, of course. You can select a bunch of Dreamscape aids. And when it comes to Dreamscape aids, you're going to have a bunch of different characters, right? Looks like Spectro in this situation is the golden element. Everybody except Rover is going to be getting a buff over here. You got Phoebe, Jinsei, Shorekeeper, and Verena. And if you use them, right, at least one of these characters, then you're going to get a pretty hefty bonus of 150% to your score. And as you can see, there are more effects that come along with that Dreamscape aids. You got 30% spectral damage. Basic attacks will generate the Dreamscape energy. Resonance skills will generate even more, up to 50 from 20. And healing is going to grant another 50 when you use a resonance skill to heal. So think of characters like Shorekeeper and Verena for that. That can be triggered once every 10 seconds. And damaging an enemy with Spectral Frazzle grants 30. And that can be triggered every second. And so we're seeing here, right, a lot of synergy for pretty much every character in the mode. Jinsei gets the resonance skills. Verena and Shorekeeper get the resonance skill healing. And Phoebe herself gets all that Spectral Frazzle goodness. And when you reach 500 points, you'll enter the Lucid Dream state, and then you'll have a bunch of crit boosts and energy regen boosts, 50% and 100%. So your characters don't even really need to be built that well for you to receive some of the big bonuses here. So pretty much looks like a relatively easy to clear mode. We haven't actually given it a try yet. And so before we do, let's just take a look at how these rewards are going to be tiered out. So you're going to have a max of 6,000 points. You get all of the astrite only at 5,000. And this is the thing. This isn't going to be like Whimpering Wastes, where you're at the point, right, where you need to do one whole clear to get 6,000 points. You can just do multiple, right, if you're not getting 6,000 on the first go. So with that, we're also seeing that there's going to be the opportunity to spend some stamina, spend some wave plates. And that's what we're going to be doing today. These are basically an analog for tacit fields, where you can go ahead, spend 60 wave plates, get a certain number of echoes, tubes, and tuners. One way to speed up the grind a little bit, kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone in this game mode, but the way that the rewards are going to be portioned out will be a little bit different. As you can see, these simply just have unborn echoes, and then you get to choose the tacit field that these echoes will drop from. And so it's essentially the same exact thing as doing a tacit field, but it's going to be attached, right, to a bit of a longer game mode. And so we'll see how these rewards work entirely once we go through and do our first clear. So with that, let's go ahead and dive right on into it. And I think for today, we're just going to use our Phoebe team. I'm going to toss in Verena. And unfortunately, she's down, so I hope she revives. I hope that my Verena revives by the time we start the game mode. Otherwise, this is going to be a little bit awkward. So let's get right on into it. She's good to go, ladies and gentlemen. So as you can see, my first clear.
No hesitation.
And you're going to see it's an area very familiar to the Illusive realm. The first stage was very easy. We're going to talk to the cat, and we're going to get a metaphor. And so over here, we're seeing Time Rider status, greatly slows, deals massive spectral damage. Casting Resonance Liberation summons lightning 5 times to deal electro damage. And then this one over here, right? Gain the flow effect. deal continuous damage, and stack up your crit rate and critical damage. I would say Flow sounds kind of fun here. Maybe Time Rider also sounds kind of cool. You know, Time Stop is a sustain mechanism by itself. People are saying this one's broken, so let's just choose Time Rider then. And give it a try. As you can see over here, 13 stages. This does take quite a while. Keep that in mind, ladies and gentlemen. It does take quite a while.
The end has come. One with the sound.
And as you can see, these enemies are level 100, so it's not like we're, you know, going against absolute... All right, well, maybe we are. That was really easy. I couldn't even use more than one of my Phoebe's heavy attacks. So you can go ahead, and when you're on this menu, you can simply select the outline button, and you can see exactly what some of the bonuses are. And as you can see, some of these bonuses are a bit better than others. Like this attack by 45%, that's kind of just better. I would recommend choosing flat, or like not flat attack, but attack upgrades over damage percent, especially if you're using a character like Phoebe. Unfortunately, we are against something that is spectral resistance, so we might actually have our first challenge in a while.
Swift and resolute. The hour is upon us. One with the sound.
And as you can see, you have all of your baseline echoes. Nothing too crazy. All right, this guy's going to be an absolute... This guy's going to be an absolute jobber as well. You can see that, especially in the early stages, the difficulty kind of isn't there, especially if your characters are built. But for newer players, right, especially knowing that this is a time-limited mode, you're not losing out on too much. I would say that for well-invested accounts, it's definitely not going to feel as difficult. Just keep in mind that the faster you kill the enemies, and I'm killing them pretty fast, the less you're going to be able to use Dreamscape aids. Because you build it up by using various abilities over time. Alright, defeating an enemy restores 80 Dreamscape energy. This one sounds interesting, because I might be able to use this feature even more. It looks like the Dreamscape energy automatically activates as you go across your clear. I'm actually gaining quite a bit, especially after noticing that buff, and you can see that it is active right now. Let's see what else we got here. So this looks like it buffs our Dreamscape aid, so we're going to choose that. And also, make sure you don't forget this, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you don't forget to break every single destructible you can find. You'll get nice things like Dream Fragments, which you can use to buy more and more metaphors and get stronger and stronger across your clears. You're going to see a lot of familiar doors to the Illusive realm if you've ever played that game mode before. These red doors are essentially combat, while these green doors, right, are going to be more of like a casual NPC encounter or a mini game. And to those who have played the Illusive realm before, you might be familiar with this one. You'll just break random cars, and hopefully enemies don't spawn. In this case, we're a little bit unlucky. Oh. Yeah, be careful when you're using your abilities on a stage like this, because any AoE will break the cars, and I think I just broke all of them at once. So do keep that in mind. That's a little unfortunate. Now we're going to reach a Memory of Rest. And this is a place where, again, if you're familiar with the Illusive realm, you'll go ahead, you'll be able to pick up some more metaphors. I'll choose this one for more energy. And we now have the shop available for us, where we can pick a bunch of different metaphors. And there's quite a selection to choose from. These bottom ones over here, the Recipe of Dreams, are kind of like the most expensive. And they directly apply to your Dreamscape aid, where various types of attacks like Heavy, Resonance Liberation, Skill, and Basic can get buffed if you're using those types of attacks to trigger your Dreamscape. So this is kind of like some additional tailoring that they have for various team comps, for various DPSs. So this is pretty great to see. And as you can see, the income isn't bad at all either. So you'll be able to buy whatever metaphors, whatever upgrades you are looking for. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and just see what some of the best selections might be for me. We'll just run through and see how all of these feel. As you can see, there's quite a bit of replayability, quite a bit of interesting combinations you can choose. The only thing I would say is, man, the mode does feel a bit easy. The mode does feel a bit easy. And so I think it's pretty safe to make the argument that, well, all of these upgrades that seem like cool and stuff, they're not really serving the craziest purpose ever, right? I went through my sub DPS's rotation, and Crownless is basically cooked, right? I'm not even gonna get through all of my Phoebe's heavy attacks. I'll probably, yeah, he's cooked. I don't even know where the glacial damage of 67k came from. It might have been one of the metaphors that I picked, but the enemies take a lot of damage in this game mode. So after every single boss, I'll be able to go ahead, take my wave plates, right, and spend a bunch of them. And as you can see, right, I just got 9 echo drops, 6 gold tubes, and 8 tuners. And so what I wanted to do, ladies and gentlemen, was actually show you all something, well, a bit of a comparison. And so with that, my game is minimized, and this is typically what you get from a tacit field. We're seeing over here 4 drops of an echo. There's another 4 down here, right? And then 20 tuners, 3 golds per echo. We're seeing over here that we have the same 20 tuners, the same 3 golds, the same purples. So the rewards over here seem to be directly equivalent to tacit fields in general. But this is the thing. You'll get to choose which tacit field you basically want to redeem. And the nicest part about this, guys, is that you can spend your wave plates and then simply hold these in your inventory until you have a character that you need to get, or that you need to get echoes for. This is a great way, in my opinion, especially if you're somebody that doesn't have characters to build right now. This is a great way to sort of bank your wave plates, where you'll get all of the echo experience materials that you'll need, but then you can simply wait and see, right? Oh, maybe you'll need a Void Thunder and Molten Rift set in the future, but not right now. Or you're gonna need an Empyrine and Midnight Veil, but not right now. And the other nice thing is you can use these sort of like one at a time as well. Maybe you get exactly the pieces you need using only like 1 or 2 of the boxes, and then now you'll be able to spend the next 7, 6, 5, 4 on a different tacit field, while in the past, right, all those tacit fields, they would all drop the same exact thing. And this is the last thing. This goes right into your inventory. This doesn't go into your echo inventory. This goes into your bag. And so if you're a player, right, who's running a bit short, you're at like 2,000, 3,000 echoes, well, if you're at 2,000 or 3,000 echoes, those won't count against your echo storage. So I would say overall, this redemption method is different. It does take longer than tacit fields, but you're kind of, you know, the whole 2 birds with 1 stone thing. And there are definitely some clear advantages to be able to store them in your inventory versus getting the drops outright. So same number of drops, but a little bit more quality of life, a little bit more convenience. Overall, I think it's pretty decent. So we're just going to go ahead and run through and see how the difficulty starts ramping up more and more across this one. The structure, though, right? Almost exactly the same as the Illusive realm in terms of how the various stages are going, all those different doors. It's a similar vibe, but definitely lacks some of the complexity. And of course, right, you're going to have all of your different metaphors, and you're going to have 3 different characters that you can play, not just one like it typically is in the Illusive realm. The only thing is, I hope this is a lower difficulty. I hope that this is a lower difficulty and that you can ramp it up at some point, because my oh my, I feel like the enemies have like been dying too fast for me to actually use a lot of my character's kits. And so that Time Rider effect is continually activating for sure. Those enemies are getting slowed down. They can't really do anything. And of course, make sure to break your rocks and all your destructibles too, to get even more metaphors and make this game mode even easier. Make it even easier than it currently is. Okay. Okay, all right. This is a new one. I have never seen this one before. I didn't even realize I couldn't attack. What? Oh, don't mindlessly shoot on that one. Don't mindlessly shoot on that one. Otherwise, you'll get no rewards like me. You know, I'm just creating more of a challenge for myself, guys. I'm just creating more of a... This game mode is too easy. Yeah, that was on purpose. I totally read all the directions.
Moment of resonance. One with the sounds.
I didn't know the thing could shoot in like a 3-shot burst like that. It's like one of those burst rifles. I mean, you guys can kind of see that this game mode's a little easy. It's kind of simple. All right, the buffs and metaphors are definitely different. They're a lot more different than they used to be. I think they're a lot more simplified. A lot of just like raw stat increases. And we're seeing that Phoebe's outro skill just obliterated like the entire server there with that one. And we've got the Dreamscape upgrades also available. And as you can see, the time stop is a little absurd. The time stop is so strong that it's preventing them from even going through their death animation. That one that I just picked was a crit conversion, and as you can tell, that's probably a good idea because you do get a lot of crit from all the various upgrades that you'll be getting. So I can deal even more damage on top of my massive damage. All right. And they do have another one. So these will be constantly available. I just picked 2 in a row. And so do not worry about overcapping on crit rate. Just search for those upgrades as well. We got some just really... I might be able to just buy out this entire shop. Yep, I'll just do it. You can clearly see that the income in this game mode is very high. There's not really any of the resource constraints that you had in prior Illusive Realms where you just couldn't buy everything.
Leave it to me.
I'm able to do it here.
Life is in everything. The fruit of everything.
The end has come. One with the sound.
Sentinel protection. Together we stand. Bluebird, be my salvation.
And this is the final boss. As you can clearly see, there's a decent... It actually has quite a bit of health. I wish more of the enemies were, like, of this strength. Because this is pretty decent, actually.
Swift and resolute. I sense your weakness.
This is pretty decent.
Swift and resolute. The hour is upon us. Strike in the shadows.
He is a little bit annoying when he flies, though.
One with the sound.
Sentinel protection. Descend crystals. Give me strength.
And that whole time stop mechanic, solid. But this guy does have a decent bit of HP. He actually does have a decent bit of HP. We're hitting like 100k on every single hit of her heavy attack. And it took us a good bit of time to clear that. However, you can clearly see I was tanking hits like I was playing an MMORPG. And Phoebe still has a decent amount of health left. My Verena is also level 50, so she's not really healing much either. This lets us do a whole nother one. And for the content, I'll spend some asteroids for you guys. Don't worry. Yeah, totally not going to use these echoes later. And you can see over here, I got a bonus of 8 this time. And so it's roughly equivalent to the drop rates from a tacit field. But again, you're going to have those conveniences, right, of being able to go ahead and bank these, store these, and then use them whenever you want. So that'll be that there. And with that, we're going to leave the Somnor. We're going to see that I got 13 out of 13, and that's going to be my full 6,000 points. And you can imagine, right, if you get wiped on the final boss, maybe you'll get below 6,000, but you can just go ahead, run it back, do like maybe a couple of stages, and then just cap off your 6,000 anyways. But I would say if you're just going through, you're getting every single metaphor drop you can, it's going to be a little bit difficult. It's going to be a little bit difficult to not clear unless, like, I mean, I got hit like 10 times on Phoebe and it wasn't a big deal. You should be able to full clear, even if your account really isn't that fully built, because these buffs, these bonuses, they're all insanely powerful. And the boss at the end is just kind of like a sponge. It's kind of just like a sponge overall. And now what we're going to see, we're going to head back right on and just be able to claim, right, our 160 pulls, our little bit of experience materials, and of course, the 60k show credits at the end. I would say that was like a fun, I spent some time explaining some things. That was like a fun 15-20 minutes with my relatively built account. You can kind of see I was able to also get task fields done at the same time, but you're likely not really going to be doing these in place of task fields in the first place. This is probably going to be good for like 240 wave plates a week. You just use like a double on a Tuesday or double on a Tuesday or a Monday. I would say probably doesn't make that much sense to be using this as your main way of farming task fields. And I think, frankly, unless they ramp up the difficulty significantly and make use of the fact that, well, you've got a full 3-person team, the game mode does feel a bit, I think, too easy. I think that the basis and the structure is there. I think that enemies need to be a little bit tankier, especially in those early stages. There needs to be like a reason to use all of those cool mechanics. And in its current state, where I'm going through, I'm entering absolution mode on Phoebe, and then I am clearing the entire stage before I've even used like 2 of her heavy attacks. That's it does feel like a little weak, right? It kind of just does feel like I'm one-shotting everything. I'm playing with like very little effort, not even paying attention to my dodges or anything like that. And then I'm going through, right? I'm getting to the final boss, and then I'm finally like, oh my gosh, finally an enemy where I can do more than half of a rotation. Finally an enemy that won't, perish after like 3 attacks. And I would just say, get your 6,000 points for this and then maybe drop it for a week. Then the only saving grace that I would say about this is that this Dreamscape aid and hopefully the overall difficulty and structure and design of the game mode, hopefully this can all maybe get ramped up. There can be some like additional difficulties or like, just something that can allow you to fully explore more of the mechanics. It's just too easy right now. It's simply just too easy, and there's no reason to have all of like this stuff in here. This is like, I think that this is well done. I think it needs more visual clarity, but I like the idea. It's just none of the stages actually require it because the baseline enemies are so weak. So I would say it's almost like we took a cake. We have the best frosting ever. It's made out of like the best cream, the best sugar, and we kind of put it on like a Walmart cake, like a cake that we bought from Target for like $3. And there just needs to be more when it comes to the overall structure. All of these things are like nice, great glamour, great glitz, but it's just not built on a solid foundation because the enemies are too damn weak and you don't get the chance to see any of these mechanics shine. But I'm going to enjoy my Echo rewards. And of course, that'll be useful for some of my brand farming. But with that, that's the overall design of the mode. I would say there's not that much replayability, again, because the game mode is too easy. But there's a lot of different upgrades, a lot of different things to explore. And if you're somebody that has like a really unbuilt account and is maybe earlier on in the game, you might find a lot of enjoyment out of the mode because it will supercharge your characters. It will let you get massive damage numbers. It is reminiscent of the Illusive realm in a lot of ways. But for those that have already invested, that have played a lot, it is kind of missing that special touch. So with that, that's gonna be my playthrough. That's gonna be my initial thoughts. I think it needs some work, and I think the main work it needs is just making it more satisfying with more difficult enemies. So with that, let me know what you all think. Peace out.